Good morning. What a great day. Beautiful weather, and I think just a fabulous day for Chamblee business. We have a lot of new faces in the crowd. Those of you that have come regularly obviously are probably saying, where do I sit with all these people here? But I'd like to make a couple of announcements, and then we'll get on to our featured presentation. First off, I'd like to recognize some of our elected officials there in the crowd. Somewhere is Councilman Brian Mock over here. We have Mayor Davis from Dunwoody. Where's Mayor Davis? Mayor Davis from Dunwoody. Tom Hogan, our other council member, is somewhere in the house, back in the back there. Representative Scott Holcomb, where's Scott? Also in the back. We have Stan Jester, who's school board elect, so he's not taken office yet, but Stan is here. And our city manager, Mark Johnson. Couple of upcoming events that are coming up. Next week on Friday is the city's 4th Friday concert. That's a free event right behind us here at City Hall, so come out for that. As far as the Chamblee Chamber events, our next Business After Hours in August is going to be hosted by Vintage Pizza and Frosty Caboose. And our next speaker in August will be Dr. Tom Price. September speaker will be the director of the GBI. The other big event that we have coming up for the Chamber is our Taste of Chamblee on October 4th. So come on out for the Taste of Chamblee. That is being hosted by the Chamber, but all the benefits go to the Lions Lighthouse, so it is a charity event. As you know, we spent the first 5 months of this year gathering founding members for our new startup chamber. And I haven't had a chance to recognize those founding members, so I'd like to list them now. The founding members that all gave between $1,000 and $10,000 contribution to get us startup capital. The Handy Husband, Fisher Funeral, Trinity Development, Atlanta Chinatown Mall, PDK Airport, the City of Chamblee, LGS Staffing, the Georgia Lions Lighthouse, City Farmers Market, the Chamblee Antique Road District, Epps Aviation, Interactive College, Cap Concepts, Awesome Vapor, Plaza Fiesta, Senior Connections, Ilario Real Estate, Southbound Restaurant, Peachtree Benefit Group, Oxygen Financial, Sweet Hut, Consignment Furniture Depot, Orient Center, Jim Ellis, and St. Vincent de Paul. If we could please give them a round of applause. Without them, we would not be here today, so I ask you that you frequent their businesses and let them know that you are very proud that they saw the vision to get this organization started. As many of you that come regularly know, I like to start my meetings with a morning joke. So the CEO of a large company was walking to the cafeteria with his 2 secretaries. He tripped on a bottle, and upon tripping, a genie appeared and asked the threesome if they would each like to have a wish. The first secretary exclaimed, "I wish I was on a beach in a tropical island." Poof, the secretary was gone. The second secretary said, "I wish I was on a tour of France." Immediately, her wish was granted. Being that it was the CEO's turn to make a wish, he exclaimed, "I want the 2 of them back in their offices right after lunch." About 9 months ago, I had a thought of trying to take our business breakfast meetings and making them into an event where we could provide a free breakfast for anyone that wanted to attend. And I wasn't quite sure how to go about doing that. And so I tasked our chamber staff with coming up with sponsorship ideas. And I'd like to recognize and thank our Deputy Director, Barbara Barber, our CEO, Art Freeman, and their staff for making today's event possible, where we could have a sponsor that's paying for this lovely breakfast, which is provided by Senior Connections. If you don't know, Senior Connections has a whole food services department, and you can actually go get lunch at their location. With that, I'd like to explain how our spectacular sponsorship will work. Going forward, we hope to have a spectacular sponsor for every breakfast meeting to make this a free event. And if you are interested in sponsoring, like our current sponsor, DeKalb Peachtree Airport, then please see Barbara or Art, and they can walk you through the details. PDK is the single largest landmass in the city of Chamblee, known as DeKalb Peachtree Airport. It sits on more than 700 acres. The airport averages more than 200,000 takeoffs and landings per year, and it is the second busiest airport, only behind Hartsfield. It's something that we have such a great resource in our backyard, and I think as business owners we need to embrace that and figure out how we can use the airport to drive business to our community. The airport provides aviation-related jobs to 762 people, and there are more than 3,600 jobs by non-airport businesses who have indicated that they would leave the county if the airport were to close. And most importantly, PDK is financially self-sufficient, benefiting the local and regional economy without using any tax funds whatsoever. Since we now have a sponsor for our breakfast, at this time, I'd like to have our sponsor say a few words and introduce our featured speaker for us. With that, I'd like to introduce the director of the PDK Airport, Mr. Mike Van Lee.
Thank you, Van. Thank you all for being here, and it's our pleasure to be able to sponsor this inaugural event, if you will. It's a very exciting time to be the director at DeKalb Peachtree Airport. Our traffic has not improved as rapidly as we had hoped since the Great Recession, as it's called, but we still have a lot of exciting things going on and will continue to go on. We just opened our brand new $8.25 million hangar facility, 53 new hangars, and I am pleased to say that every single one of those 53 hangars was leased before the facility opened. So it's already drawing benefits. We kind of right now we have the perfect storm of some available property, one of the major leases on the airport getting ready to expire, and one of the major leaseholders on the airport needing to upgrade his existing facilities. So I can confidently say that in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see about $15 million worth of private investment at PDK, which is a good thing. Additionally, in 2016, and you've got to understand the FAA and how that organization works, to why I say starting in 2016, we have the opportunity to leverage some federal money, some state money, with airport money, and create what I would call a corporate aviation complex on the east side of the airport. previously land that was thought to be undevelopable. The opportunity exists over there to create 14 corporate aviation parcels over there. And when you think that each one of those parcels has the ability to add $25 to $35 million to the county's tax digest that we all benefit from, that the school board will definitely benefit from, I think that's an exciting thing. And the advantage to that kind of development is it's high impact in the terms of the tax dollars that it brings to the county, but it's extremely low impact as it concerns the residents around the airport, because you're talking about a facility that maybe houses 1 or 2 airplanes, and maybe one of those airplanes goes somewhere on Monday and comes back on Wednesday. Maybe they both leave on Monday and one comes back on Wednesday and one comes back on Thursday. But for the benefit that they bring the county, the impact in terms of operations is extraordinarily low. So we've got that to look forward to. And hopefully the CEO will let me hang around long enough to see these things through to fruition. But you didn't come to hear me speak, you came to hear the CEO speak. So I'll just start this. I want to say that I'm asked in this part of the county frequently what I think of the CEO and what he's brought to the table. I can tell you without reservation that what the CEO has brought to the table is extraordinarily refreshing. As a department head, he expects me to do my job well, and he holds me accountable for that. When he has questions, his questions are pointed, and most importantly, his questions don't come with an agenda attached. And that's something that that a lot of us that have been around the county for 12 years or more haven't experienced recently. So, and by the way, when you give the answer back, the answer should be fact-filled, it should be pointed, and it should not have an agenda attached either. So with that said, I'd like to introduce CEO May, and pleasure to work for you, sir.
Well, good morning. Let me first say it's good to be in a room filled with people that like our airport. That's a wonderful place to be. And let me say this, Mike, you're here as long as you want to be, okay? And give him a round of applause. You know, I'm excited to have the second, busiest airport in the state of Georgia here in DeKalb County. Yes, there comes a lot of work that comes without, a lot of criticism as well, but we fulfill a major service to our key stakeholders here. And I am really proud of the work that Mike Van Weed does at the airport. He keeps me out of trouble. He keeps our county out of the newspaper where his operation is concerned. Let me clarify that. And he's one of the people I don't have to worry about. Now, the other good thing is, when Mike speaks, he's going to tell you the honest truth, whether you like it or not. And so even though he works for me, when he speaks those words, I really believe him. That's not pomp or circumstance. That's not because he's trying to look good in my eyes. I don't think Mike really cares about how well. But Mike, thank you for the work that you do. And let me also thank you all for coming out here. I got excited when I was asked to come out here. I like to travel all throughout the county and just talk about our great county. And the work that we are trying to do to really make us a special county, not just in name, but also in practice as well. And just to answer the tough questions that you may have for us. We don't want the newspaper leading the conversation on what's going on in DeKalb. We want to have an internal conversation about what truly is going on in our county, and I'm always happy to be able to do that wherever we are throughout our county. I do want to acknowledge a couple of people, a few people here this morning. Some of our elected officials have been acknowledged, but I like to acknowledge them for myself. Brian Mock, a good friend and just a good citizen here in DeKalb County. Thank you for your leadership, and I was looking for you. And I guess you're a glutton for punishment too. You decided you wanted to get in elected office, and thank you for that, and thank you for your work. Tom Hogan is the first person that, where are you, Tom? Is the first person that said, we want you to come out to me at our Development Authority meeting. And I said, great, I would love to, and thank you for helping to make this happen as well. So thank you all for the work you're doing here in Chamblee. My friend, Mayor Davis, I said, wow, they let you out of Dunwoody. And so thank you for your leadership in Dunwoody, and for your partnership as well with DeKalb County. You know, we're really trying to restore the partnership between our cities and DeKalb County government. We are family, and we have to act like family. Now, if you understand family like I understand family, I have a huge family. Literally, I have 26 aunts and uncles. My mom, it was 16 of them. My dad, it was 12 of them. I literally have 150 first cousins. It's a lot of us, right? That's a lot of us. Yeah, I don't know if you want to clap for that, because our family reunions, you know, loving family, you know, I guess. But with a large family comes large issues. And one thing that we've learned, both in the Davison family and the May family, is that we have to talk. Even when the conversation is a tough conversation, we have to talk, because we are blood, we are family. And that's what we have to do here in DeKalb County. And so regardless of what perspective you are, regardless of what political party, what side of the county you live on, your perspective, we just have to sit down and have a conversation. So Mike, thank you for that, because I know it hasn't always been that way. I know that the cities, we have had some issues with the county, and we are working in a very proactive way to address those. Stan Jester, yes. Thank you for your leadership. Again, glutton for punishment, but we're looking forward to your service on the school board and the work. We have a long way to go, and we're counting on you.
Yes, sir.
No pressure. But we're counting on you to really add some real value for what I believe is some good work that this new school board and the school superintendent has been doing. And my buddy, Scott Holcomb, one of our great leaders in the General Assembly, thank you for your leadership and your friendship. Scott is good for letting me know the good, bad, and the ugly of what I'm doing, but also what the county is doing, and I cherish that. That's when you know you have real good friends, you know, that they won't just all tell you the bad, they won't just all tell you the good, they'll tell you what you need to know to help move you forward. And Scott, you've done that not only for me, but I really believe in this county as well. Have I missed any other elected officials who may have walked in, who I haven't seen? Just thank you all for coming out. Van, thank you for your leadership here. Where did Van go? Thank you for your leadership here with the Chamber. And the work that you all are doing to advance development, job creation in Chamblee, because the rising tide lifts all boats, and I believe that regardless if we're here in the incorporated area or in the unincorporated area, if we continue to strive for excellence, we all will move forward for that. So thank you all for being here, most importantly, and I'm going to be seated now. Well, you know, you all are here to have just a really candid conversation about what is going on in DeKalb County. Yesterday, I had a special moment that I didn't realize was a special moment until Burke Brennan. Burke is over our communications efforts here in DeKalb County. He came in singing a little tune. Now Burke can't sing too well, so I was trying to figure out what he was saying, but he came in singing "Happy Anniversary" to me, and my wedding anniversary is in February, so I didn't know that was, you know, what that was. But he came in singing a happy anniversary because literally yesterday was a year since I was appointed to be the interim CEO of our county. Thank you. And that was an interesting period, you know, in the history of our county. I don't know that we've ever been in a position like this. And personally, I've never been in a predicament like this. You know, typically, you know, when you decide you want to be in elected office, you qualify, you run, you campaign, you get elected, and then you have a transition period in which to prepare for your term in office. Well, my transition period was all of 15 minutes. I received a call from the governor's office asking me a couple of questions. I didn't know the governor, didn't know anyone in his operation. Asking me a couple of questions, and then at the end of those few questions said, look, the governor's going to appoint you to be the interim CEO of DeKalb County. And I said, well, great, thank you. I'm honored. I appreciate that. When will that take effect? And he said, well, in about 15 minutes, the governor will be making it public, so get ready. And the governor did just that, and I was sworn in about an hour after that, and it's been, as I would say, rocking ever since. And it was it was a tremendous time where we were faced with a lot in DeKalb County. Of course, you know, I was placed in this position because of the suspension of CEO Burl Ellis, and I'm an advocate for allowing the legal course to run its due course, rather, and so that process will run its course. But in the meantime, we have to make sure that our county is moving in the right direction and that the day-to-day operations, the real important stuff, is moving forward, that we are paving our roads or at least filling the potholes, and that we are taking care of our parks and recs and our libraries throughout the county, that we are making sure that there is adequate and quality development, that we are having a competitive county. One that is ripe for development, for embracing business and industry, that interacts with business in a very productive and a proactive way, and most importantly, an efficient and transparent way. Those are the day-to-day things that we have to do. But you know, in the midst of all of this, we have had to address some of the realities in our county. So yes, we have the specter of the trial that we are waiting with Burl Ellis. But then just some months later, we began getting open records requests about our P-card usage throughout the county. For you all who don't know, P-card stands for purchasing card. Essentially, it's like a debit card to your bank account. You're allowed to gain access to your budget to conduct county-related business. And so that continued to spiral, and I don't really have to retell that story. But needless to say, there's been some concerns and some issues raised by the media, and they have run its course that are before the Board of Ethics here in our county. Now again, being an advocate of allowing individual cases like these to be adjudicated properly and run its legal course, we are still awaiting that. And in between all of that, we had a special grand jury report that came forward that was connected to the legal matters of CEO Ellis, but it also put a spotlight on various practices and policies, and actually concerns about DeKalb County employees that have been operating in our county. That special grand jury report was not flattering, to say the least. It drew concern from me and just about all of you all here at the same time. And so literally from that moment on July 16, 2013, from that moment the governor said, will you do it? And I said, yes. We have been on this roller coaster each and every day, it seems like. I wake up each morning praying that there is not something new that is coming forward in our county. Because what that does is it prevents us from really moving our county forward in the right direction. The important stuff, the reason why you pay your taxes, to have a service delivered to you in a very open and transparent way, to make sure that we are building the infrastructure in our county in a manner that is pleasing to you, that you have full access and advantage to take. And so we are having to operate in both a proactive and a reactive measure. If anyone played athletic sports, in most sports you have an offense and a defense. Where our offense moves the ball forward, Our defense is trying to prevent people from moving the ball on us. And so we have had to operate in really a defensive posture a lot. But one of the things that we have to do is restore the confidence in the general public, in the work that we do as a county government. And the confidence that you all have is probably at a record low. I have issues with it. I'm concerned about it. And the thing that keeps me awake at night is, how do we address it? How do we project the confidence in the work that we're doing as a county government? How do we let people know that we will no longer stand for corruption, for unethical practices, for people or policies that are in place that are not operating in a very transparent way? How do we do that when the media has dedicated literally hundreds of thousands of resources to report any and every little thing that we do? If you had an opportunity to look at the number of open records requests for our county, it's not about, you know, knowing that something is done and getting the evidence to support that. It's a fishing expedition at this point because they know that, you know, if you cast a wide net, you're going to catch something, and it is their duty to report it. And so it's a difficult perspective that we are having to deal with here in DeKalb County, but we are doing it. We are doing what I believe is some special work, and what we have to do a better job is communicating the things that we're doing to address the public confidence and to restore ethics and integrity in our government. Now, if you work in government, you know that everything rises and falls on the budget. And as elected officials, we can always say, well, we couldn't do it because we didn't have money for it. And I'm not using that as an excuse. There are some key things that we have done in the area of openness and transparency and ethics that you need to hear about and know that we are working to move the ball in the right direction. You know, one of the things that we had coming immediately in is that we had a board of ethics, which is one of the most powerful ethics boards in the state. They literally have the ability to remove an elected official in DeKalb County. They could remove me. They could remove any board of commissioners. But that board didn't have a quorum, meaning they didn't have enough people sitting on the board of ethics to really conduct their business. And then they were lacking in funding. They had, for years and years and years, a budget of about $12,000. $12,000 to conduct their business. And so what we did immediately was we invested in our ethics board. Well, number one, we made appointments to our ethics board. So now we currently have a full complement of representatives on the ethics board, which we haven't had in some years now. We also increased their budget from the $12,000 amount to $118,000 at the beginning of the year. And since then, we've added another $97,000 to allow them to conduct the business which they were appointed to do. And also what we've done is we have created a position of Chief Integrity Officer. We can't call him CIO because we already have one of those. But our Chief Integrity Officer, which will be a full-time employee of the Board of Ethics, along with an investigator and an administrative assistant, that will allow them to conduct their business and have the resources necessary to be successful as a board. Now, these are things that have never been done in our county, and yes, it's responding to some of the accusations, some of the allegations that have been presented, but it's meant to project confidence that we're not taking these things lightly in our county. In this 2014 budget, we've also included additional funding this year to the tune of about $100,000 in the district attorney's budget to fully construct his public integrity unit. That unit that ensures that DeKalb County employees, staff, and elected officials are abiding by the law, and if they're not, then they have the full recourse to address those issues here in DeKalb County. The special grand jury report talked about issues in our purchasing and contracting department. They highlighted a number of things in there, and we are currently at this moment revamping our purchasing policy. It's actually before our county attorney right now. I've looked through it and signed off and addressed those issues, as well as bringing in a new purchasing director to lead and guide the ship. We brought in a consultant to come in to review all of our purchasing policies, to look at what we need to do. They came back with a list of, Zach, help me out, 73 recommendations of things that we need to fix in our purchasing department. Now, let me tell you why that's so important. We literally spend hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayers' dollars each and every year to procure services and goods as well in our county. And we need to make sure that we're conducting business in a very open and transparent way with your tax dollars. And so we are doing that now. So this new purchasing director, his name is Scott Callan, is one of his charges coming in was intended to implement those recommendations that firm brought forward. So we're doing some very tangible things to address where we are with in terms of openness and transparency and ethics in our county government. And we're doing them in a very proactive way. But here's the reality. We'll do those things, and to be fair to the media, they do report it one time. And then when all the bad stuff come out, it's a rolling news story. They'll start off with one piece, and then they won't tell the whole story. Then they'll come back to the supplement of that piece, and it goes on like that. And that's no knock on the media. That's what the media does. It's historical. But what we have to do is continue to do the right thing to advance the ball in DeKalb County, to make sure that we're a functioning government, one that you can be proud of, to move our county government forward. So the good news is, and us playing offense and being very proactive, is that we are in really good financial position right now. We have a budget of well over $1.2 billion across all of our funds. And we have a reserve level of over $91 million. Now, that's good news in our county because, you know, we want to make sure that we have a rainy day fund in order to conduct our business and make sure that we have the funding necessary to do the work that we do. And just talking about, I was interviewing with our DeKalb County beat reporter about the approval of our budget most recently, and we're talking about, you know, he wants to focus on the funding that we put in place for the ethics board, for the new position for the chief integrity office, for the funding for the district attorney, and for all the things that we're doing in terms of ethics. And I think he calculated that it came up to almost $1 million total that we're doing in that space. And I was proud of that, of course, and saying, yeah, we're doing that. This is what we're doing to really project confidence in our government. And I said, but don't forget to talk about our reserves. You know, $91 million at a $1.2 billion budget. Don't forget to talk about the fact that we are hiring more police officers in our county than at a more aggressive pace than any time in history. Literally this year, we would have had 4 police academies by the end of this year. That means we're putting more people on the street to protect our citizens throughout the county. Let's talk about the number of firefighters that we're hiring. Over 100 firefighters this year alone. 3 fire academies that we're expecting to come through the academy by year's end. These are things, positive things that we're doing. I said, don't forget to talk about the good work that we're doing in economic development and funding kind of the things that we're putting forward. And he said, yeah, I'm going to put in a little small box at the top right-hand corner of that article. And lo and behold, that's what he did. He was fair. He didn't lie to me, you know. But when you talk about what we're doing in terms of ethics, that is the salacious story. That regurgitates everything bad that has happened and then talks about what we've done in a very short manner of the work that we're doing to address it. But we are doing what I believe are some really special things here in DeKalb County. We've done that over this year. I'm excited about continuing to do that work. And since we're here before a chamber, I want to talk about what we are doing in terms of economic development and really making us what I believe will be the most competitive county in this state. I believe the work that we are doing right now will make us the preeminent county in which to do business and the most attractive county to come to, either to expand your business or to make this your home. But it starts with the work that we're doing now. Now, if you would ever read my bio, you'll hear that I attended Clark Atlanta University as an undergraduate student and Emory University in grad school. I'm a preacher's kid, and I attended seminary, kind of walking in the steps of my father. I attended Candler School of Theology. So I like to quote kind of biblical passages now and then, and there's two passages that I love to quote. And you're going to ask, why is he quoting scripture at a chamber event? But you'll get it in a second, okay? So there's a scripture in the book, in Proverbs, that says, a people without a vision will perish. We know that, right? Even if you've never gone to Sunday school or church, we've heard that. A people without a vision will perish. But then there's another scripture in the book of Habakkuk. This is a little small book that says to write the vision and make it plain. And then it says so that he, and I always add or she, because you know the Bible sometimes leaves out women, so that he or she who reads it can run with it. And I highlight that scripture because we have been casting this vision in DeKalb County about who we want to be in terms of economic development and writing that plan down and in a manner that people can read it and run with it. Can you imagine that in DeKalb County, we have never had an economic development strategic plan? We're a county, and I mean ever, and I've searched the annals of our records, not found it. 700,000 residents, and we've never had a strategic plan in order to do economic development. So if you go back in history and you look over time and you see, well, what happened is DeKalb County is just a great county. It's a great community. It's a county with tremendous geographical highlights. It's a county with tremendous people, a very diverse county, over 100 different languages spoken. It's a county with more highway infrastructure than any other county in this region. It's a great county to be. And what we've done is rested on our laurels and expected businesses to naturally come and call DeKalb County home. And so when you look at communities that have brought in companies like Baxter, or brought in companies like Caterpillar, or brought in companies like a Porsche, you'll realize those businesses didn't go to those communities because they were just cool places to be. What I like to say is DeKalb County, we win on cool. DeKalb County is a cool place to be. But those communities that are attracting businesses and industries are doing so because they have a plan, and they are implementing that plan. And so that's what we're doing right here in DeKalb County. We have brought in, we have brought in a firm, an international agency, to help us write our economic development plan. Angelos Economics out of Austin, Texas. It's doing tremendous things around the country with cities and counties and even states and helping them to scope their work in terms of economic development. And this month, we will be completing that effort. So we will, for the first time, have a strategic plan for economic development. That's great news, something that I want to continue to highlight, and it's one that factors in the entire county. And it factors in the realities and the assets in Dunwoody and Chamblee and Decatur and Pine Lake and Avondale. I shouldn't have started naming these cities because somebody's going to be mad that I left them out. But it embraces all of DeKalb County. Again, understanding that whether you're in Dunwoody or whether you're in unincorporated DeKalb or Chamblee or in unincorporated Lithonia, we need all of us to be competitive to work together. Because a lot of times businesses come to our county not knowing if they're in a city or not initially. And so we want to make sure that we are competitive. Now, you can write the vision, write this plan, but you also need an entity in order to implement it. DeKalb County and all counties and states, we major in studies. You know, a lot of time, especially in Washington, D.C., in order to kill something, they initiate a study. You know, oh, we're gonna research that, we're gonna study it, and then we'll get back to it. And nobody ever comes back to see whether they get back into it. But we have partnered this year, and I'm really excited about this, with our DeKalb County Development Authority to create a new economic development agency, a new economic development arm for our county. You know, the old school approach was to, as a county or city, or, you know, is to is to take on economic development solely internally, where we are doing everything where economic development is concerned. Well, that's no longer the new approach to that. Economic development has to be done in a collaborative effort. So this partnership with the Development Authority is new to DeKalb, and it's something that that's important, and we're funding it alongside with the Development Authority to institute that. So we have committed $750,000 each year for the next 5 years to fund this agency, and the Development Authority has put in $500,000, and the DeKalb Chamber and others are looking for a way in order to invest in this as well, so that we have really a one-stop shop in order to conduct business and to be that marketing arm, that economic development agency for our county as a whole. Now that's good news, because now DeKalb County is not solely responsible for this. We're partnering with external agencies and organizations in order to be successful with that. And we just did that, I believe it was 3 months ago. We entered into that agreement a little over 3 months ago. It will be rebranded. It will have a new name. It will have a new staff. We're just starting the executive search. We're bringing in a CEO to run that, and we will hire up to fulfill the work of our county. Now, that's good news, because that is a new proactive approach with conducting business in DeKalb County. So we got the vision. We've written it down. We have a group now to implement that. But you know, the thing that we have to fix, the thing we have to fix here in DeKalb County is our permitting shop. You know, I got elected in 2006 to the Board of Commissioners, and I remember distinctly one of my very first meetings with CEO Vernon Jones at the time with the Home Builders Association. And I remember in that, it was a luncheon. I'll never forget it. I didn't know 2 cents about DeKalb County government at that point, you know, because when you campaign, you talk about all the things you're going to do. Then you get elected and you realize, okay, this is what you really can do. You know, and so when I'm sitting in that meeting, and I'm telling you, they're just ranting and raving in a very bad way about our permitting shop. That was 8 years ago. And they took it back even further in terms of their history of how bad the permitting operation had been. They went even before Vernon Jones in explaining kind of the history of things. And what I realized is, you know, this is something that we have to address. I sat in a very similar meeting with CEO Ellis with another group of business. It was with a chamber, with the DeKalb County Chamber, with the same complaints. And so coming into this position, I realized that we cannot do business the same way. If we could have fixed this thing internally, it would have been done by now. And so we brought in an external consultant who is a professional at this to come in. They've done it for other communities. They've done it for Gwinnett and others throughout the country. That firm has come in. They've looked at everything that we do. They've looked at our staffing levels. They've looked at our training. They've looked at our facilities. They've looked at our technology. And they've given us recommendations on what we need to do to revamp completely that shop. So this is the first time we've taken an external view of our permitting shop. We have to be a business-friendly county. When you come to conduct business in DeKalb County, you want to know when you come in, you have some level of certainty as when you can open up to do business. Even if it's months from now, we ought to be able to tell you on this date, on October the 1st, which is my birthday, by the way, on October the 1st, we know that we can be open for business. You need to have that certainty. And right now, you don't have that certainty. And it is of great concern. I came out here with Mayor Clarkston to a groundbreaking for the Jim Ellis dealership down the street. And by the way, they're throwing that building up. It's up real fast now. But they were sharing with me their issues with their permitting process. Now, again, this is why it's important to have the dialogue between the city and the county, because yes, this dealership is within the incorporated borders of Chamblee, but they still have to do business in DeKalb County in order to be successful in terms of business. And so we are in the midst of dealing with that, and I'll share with you this. It's going to take some big time funding for this. It's going to take about $3 million to fix our technology issue because we're dealing with antiquated software and technology and dealing with that. So I gave you a lot of the detail in terms of what we're doing to let you know that we are doing some very proactive things that don't necessarily get the kind of media time that we would love for them to get. But these are things that have been done all within these last 12 months. And my goal is to make sure that things are sustainable, that they make sense, they have some level of rhyme and reason, so that when Lee May is no longer in this seat, when other elected officials are not in their seat, the system itself will sustain itself. And that's the key, to make sure that we have sustainable efforts that will make our county a much, much better place. So I'm just happy and honored and privileged to be in this position. I want you to know that this administration takes its job seriously. Those who violate the law will be gone. Our policies will make sure that people will be conducting business in an open and ethical manner, and that we will be addressing things head on, and that we will deal with them as they arise. So I'm thankful again to be in this position. I don't take your trust lightly. And what my goal is to make sure that filters down throughout the entire organization. Look, we have an organization of over 6,500 people, $1 billion organization. So we're going to have some bumps and bruises, and we're going to have people that violate the public's trust. But it's incumbent upon this administration to deal with those issues head on. And one thing I want to do before I sit down, and I don't know how you want to do this, I'm open to answer any questions that you may have, but I'll defer to what your leadership says. But I want to highlight many of our county staff. If you work for DeKalb County government, I want you to stand up so you can be seen, because I want this to be a working meeting too, because you may have some issues that you want to relay with some of these people. So we have our COO, Zachary Williams, here, our executive assistant. He reports both to myself and the Board of Commissioners. We have our deputy COO for infrastructure, everything at the ground or below, Mr. Morris Williams. He's been here for a long, long time, and with multiple CEOs as well. And so I want to thank him for his leadership. We have PDK represented. We have our sanitation group represented. We have our police department represented as well here in DeKalb County. So yes, you have your own police department, and yes, you have taken some of our police officers. I won't hold that against you. We're all family, right? But as long as they stay within DeKalb, that's important. But we are here at your service, and again, we want to be responsive. I have business cards here, because inevitably you'll have to conduct some business with DeKalb County, and things will get bogged down. So the reason you have my business card is you need to let me know so we can address it head on and deal with it, so that we can help you conduct your business and be able to move forward. So thank you again for having me. God bless you. Keep hope strong in our county. The best is really yet to come, and the work that we're doing is going to ensure that we are a county that sits high on the hill for everyone to see the good things that we are doing. We will be the most competitive county in this state, and it's really because of the work of our hard workers and the work that we are doing right here, right now in DeKalb County. So God bless you all, and thank you. And I am open for any questions you may have for me. Mr. Mayor.
Lee, first of all, thank you for taking the call from the governor. But my question is, you want the job again?
Mike. I love the work that I'm doing. Honestly, people ask me about everything that's going on, and I'm probably having more fun than I ought to in this role. And it's not the level of the position, it's the level of the work. I'm not going to be one of those career politicians. That's not my goal. My life in politics was probably shorter than what people expect. I love this county, honestly, and I believe in this county and the work that we are doing, because I can't be successful unless the people that I work with are successful, and I have to give them the resources. But if there's an opportunity for this position, I will pray hard about it, and I will seek wisdom from my wife. and then we'll move forward with it. But I would love to, and it's an honor to be in this position right now. So I hope that answers somewhat of your question. Yes, how about that? Any additional questions? Tom.
With all the work that you all are doing to try to improve your permitting process and various other things with the pilot program and sanitation and whatnot, we hope that you'll keep in mind that with the fragmentation of the county and the various municipalities for a bunch of different reasons, one of the things that is a kind of a negative result is that there are a bunch of different ways to skin each cat. And one of the things that I hope that we can do is use your research and use the consulting that is done to create some possible opportunities for the municipalities to take a look at that and see how we can utilize that research to make our process similar. I think the idea would be for you to not just create what's best for DeKalb as an entity itself, but also highlight what those best practices are, so that those are things that we can use. We can make the jurisdictional lines as blurred as possible with regard to doing business in DeKalb.
That's a good comment, Tom, and I appreciate that. And kind of the fragmentation of our county is key. The first thing that we have to do in DeKalb County is really to address many of the pressing issues of our county, really once and for all. And one of the things that I saw immediately in this role is the lack of open dialogue countywide. You know, we have, I would say the biggest issue in DeKalb County is that we don't talk. And it's an unfamiliar process with us sitting down to have the conversation. Because number one, we're all busy. Mike, you're busy, I'm busy, and Mike and I have to be more proactive in terms of sitting down and have breakfast or lunch, or, you know, and when we'll see each other, we'll say, we got to get together, and we do, but it takes us seeing each other a lot of times in order to conduct that. We have to have more of an opportunity. We have to build opportunities for communication, and I'll share with you my task force on operations in our county is one of the ways that we're hoping to address that. So I'll highlight some of the issues that have been just pressing our county for decades now. It's our governance structure in DeKalb County, you know, formerly known as our form of government or change in form of government. It's our governance structure. Is our current model the best approach to dealing with the day-to-day operations of our county? There's a lot that you'll hear a lot of comments on one side or another about what is most appropriate. The one thing I will say, and I have my own individual opinion, there's no panacea on the best form of government. You know, if we were one form and then changed to another form 30 years ago. That was supposed to resolve everything. And from that moment on, 30 years to now there's, you know, conversation of us changing. Personally, I'm a proponent of changing our form of government to a county manager style government with a full-time chairperson, and having that professional county manager handle the day-to-day operations of our county. For me, it's about uniformity. We're the only form of government like this in the state, which always poses questions. They always have to write new rules for DeKalb County. Now, we're special, but sometimes I don't want to be that special, right? But we have to deal with that. So even though Lee May has his personal opinion, I'm not trying to push that through. So the Operations Task Force is meant to just address that. We've had the best that we can do in terms of a representation of the full county on that board. We have representation from the Board of Commissioners, from my office, from the school board, from the Development Authority, from DeKalb Chamber, from the Georgia Municipal Association, from the ACCG, our county statewide association. We're infiltrating, we're putting in citizen participation through the subcommittees that will be formed there. So we're doing the best we can. Now, of course, whenever you put something out there, it's ripe for criticism. So people can tell you 1,000 reasons why the decisions that we made was bad, but my response is, well, what was your option? What did you attempt to do? you know, in the past 30 years, because we have not really sat down in a very substantive way to address a lot of the issues. Another issue is how do we deal with the impacts of newly incorporated areas and, frankly, the annexation of properties within DeKalb County. It's been a very volatile scenario. I frankly believe in the right of communities either annexing into cities or new communities incorporating into new cities. I think that's a democratic process. That isn't the problem, though. It's state law that is the biggest obstacle to us moving forward as a county. And it's not state law relevant to DeKalb. It's state law in a general scenario. The state law is as gray can be, and it opens up the door wide. The reason why it was such an obstacle between DeKalb County government and the people in the great city of Dunwoody is because there was not a lot of law that really helped guide the ship. So what you had is you had two different sides. You had the proponent saying, yes, 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 this is the best thing ever, and the opponent saying, no, 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 this is going to kill us all, this is bad, this is bad. Neither one were right. You know, it's not the best thing ever, it's not the worst thing ever. It's a reality, and how do we address that? So this task force is meant to look at the impacts of how areas are incorporated, either expanded, new cities created, or current cities expanded. And if we can bring some clarity, at least internally, I have no faith, I'm glad Scott is gone, I have no faith that the General Assembly is going to address this. And it's not Scott Holcomb's fault. Scott has been really good in putting forth some very substantive options out there. But Scott isn't in leadership, you know. And so we figured if the state won't handle it, let us figure out internally how we can put some rules of engagement in place to address it. If we can address those two things, and the third thing is a service delivery in our county. Because as new areas incorporate, the scope of DeKalb County should change. It should be reduced. The level and size of our government, you know, there's a balance. It's like a pendulum. And so it's meant to address these things head on, come back with some real recommendations. What I'll do is take those recommendations to the General Assembly in the form of resolutions for proposed laws to address that, and then we can move forward. Because all the stuff we're doing in terms of economic development and work in our infrastructure and all that, is difficult for us to focus on that because every year we're fighting about something, you know, and so we want to address things really head on. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your commitment to do what's right for the county. I have a question as far as economic development is concerned and what you feel could be done more on the state level to help DeKalb County. You mentioned some things they might not do as far as some interaction between the city and the county and whatever, but I would say that you might be surprised at what can be done in that area with the right folks in place.
Yeah.
But economic development is one of my fortes, and I'm looking forward to working with you in making the county better. What initiatives could the state provide to make that be a better?
That's a great question, and really I'm going to throw it back on us first. What we realized with the state is that DeKalb County had really no engagement with the state, you know, at many different levels. Economic development. We weren't on the state's radar. When a company is looking to come to our state and they interact with the state goes into effect and says, okay, where can we go? DeKalb County wasn't even on their radar. It wasn't a possibility, and so we weren't even getting the leads that we can go after them. So what we had to do is go in and begin to repair our relationship or even create a relationship. I went and met months ago with Chris Carr, who is the Commissioner of Economic Development, who is a DeKalb County resident of the city of Dunwoody as well. And so we went and sat down with them and talked about all the things that we're doing, because they need to know that we're doing they don't want to look bad by us, you know, and if they don't know what we're doing, they can't really be that advocate for us. And so that is key. And then the second thing is we have to understand everything that the state is providing. All of the incentives, the economic development incentives, all the programs that we can take advantage of. And I'll give you another example, the opportunity zones. Many of you all may have been familiar with opportunity zones. Is a critical tool that the state offers. And DeKalb County applied, although it was late, but we did apply for 15, I believe it was 15 opportunity zones. Well, in the midst of all of that, they put a hold, they suspended the program because with the new administration, Gretchen Corbin is a commissioner for the Department of Community Affairs, and she is revisiting how that program is working. So I went and met with her and sat down to, again, build the relationship with them, because that opportunity zone brings $3,500 per job created into your county. That's not a better tool. Now, she'll say it's not an economic development tool, and I'll nod my head and say yes, it's more of a redevelopment tool, but it has an economic development effect. And so we want to be competitive for that. They're limiting the number of zones approved, and so we're getting all the wisdom that we can from them to put forward our applications to address those issues. So it's really back on our court in terms of us being in a position where the state can help us, and then really building those relationships that will make us competitive. Yes, ma'am.
One of the arguments that, or the reasons why people formed cities up here is because they felt like their tax dollars were being used in another area of the county and not here to deliver services. I actually heard a police officer speak one time with DeKalb saying, well, we don't cover this area so much because we have other things to do and this area isn't as dangerous. And so when burglaries happened, nobody responded. I mean, it took 40 minutes, so that's one of the reasons.
Well, and that's a good thing, and I'll show you this. I have a new advantage now of being able to travel the entire county, and I'll get you next. Being able to travel the entire county, and you know what the common theme is around the county? My tax dollars are being spent in other areas. The South says that, the North says that, the city says that, the unincorporated areas say that. I mean, I mean, I wish you could travel with me and hear, you know, those comments. But part of it is education. You know, we have to do a better job of opening up what we do as a government and showing, you know, how the dollars are being spent countywide. Now, let me just talk about the police issue for a second as a specific example. Our biggest issue, the 40-minute wait time, has really been our staffing levels. You know, up until this year, we hadn't had really a substantive recruiting class in quite some time. We had more people leaving our departments, our police departments, than we were hiring. So we had been averaging about 100 officers leaving our department every year. I was talking to the public safety director in Cobb County, and he said, you know, we're at a critical moment in Cobb. We're losing about 20 officers a year. And I said, can I please have your problem? You know, but we've been losing 100, but we weren't hiring 100 each year. So what happened is our department was shrinking. It was shrinking every year, and it's really, response time is connected, you know, very much to the amount of people we have on the street in order to respond to the calls as well. Now, let me also say this. So they respond based upon priority levels. So a burglary where there's not someone on scene still conducting business will be put down lower than an active, you know, call, a shooting or you know, something where the person is somewhere close. So that is the reality. So depending on the call, you know, there will be a slower response time with that. Now, we'll also say that as we've reduced one of our police precincts because of annexations and newly incorporated areas, but it's also allowed us to staff a smaller, more densely populated area because of that. So we have the same number of officers, but we have a smaller territory that we're doing. And my goal in all of this, you know, in the police department is to slow down the attrition rate because it's going too fast. We were trucking along really good till you all, Chamblee, annexed that big part and hired about 12 of our officers away. And so we had 1 month that there was a big spike. And we were able to attribute that to that. But our goal is to slow down the attrition rate, the number of officers leaving. I think this has to be the last question, and I have to sit down because I'll talk all morning.
Well, I'm sorry, I might be speaking for North Atlanta, and the facts and statistics show that the police department of the North Atlanta precinct lowered crime 29% in that year.
Okay.
So I'm very proud of them for that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ogo, for having me here today. I really appreciate you all inviting me out, and let not this be the last time. I want to come out and we can have it topic specific, or it could be general or whatever, to address your issues. So thank you again, and I really do appreciate it.
All right, before we leave, Barbara's got a basket. Hopefully everyone put their cards in. We got a couple of door prizes to give away, and then we'll get you to your businesses. Barbara, the first door prize is?
Let's see, is it a trip to Tahiti?
That's fine. The genie's going to say you have to be back at your office after lunch.
I don't answer to the genie today. And listen, guys, thank you so much for being here today. What a great crowd, and I want to thank everybody that got up early, including myself, to get here. But thank you so much. The Chamblee Chamber welcomes you, and we have our staff here today that will answer any questions you may have about the Chamber. Please put your business card in the basket Aurora's carrying around. And I have a favor. Mr. Brian Mock, would you come forward, please?
Favors.
A favor.
City council members don't do favors.
Mr. Mock has something he'd like to say, and you need to, will this work?
It will.
He can talk loudly.
Mr. May, could you come back up here with me for a minute, sir? I can talk pretty loud. I don't need a microphone. I want to correct one statement that he opened with, which was that he wakes up every morning praying that nothing negative happened overnight. I happen to know that he never sleeps. So it's hard to wake up in the mornings when you never sleep. One, because 24/7 he's thinking about ways of bettering this county. And two, because he has a newborn in the house.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. So, congratulations, son. We wanted to get something. We recognized that it was your 1-year anniversary yesterday. We wanted to do something to recognize that, and I suggested $1 million, but was quickly told that we would both be investigated.
Yes, we would.
So we have a little something for you. We bought you a cookie that says happy anniversary. Enjoy that in the car to your next destination. And,
Right here, put it right here.
If you're bouncing all around at your next event, you'll know why.
Thank you.
We didn't have enough cake for everybody today.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to continue by drawing for our door prizes. Make sure you have your business cards in the basket. And if you will take a moment, I believe there's some comment cards on your tables. Please give us your feedback, and we'll feed you the next time. So tell us what you think about the meeting today, and if you have any referrals for membership. Our first door prize is given by Wells Fargo, and it's from Ling. Where's Ling? And this is a gorgeous leather pouch, and inside is a thumb drive. And we thank you very much, Wells Fargo.
Why don't you get Lee to pick it?
All right, you get to pick the first one. Is your card in here?
No, it's not. I don't do that. That's an investigation too.
Let me give you a bunch of them.
Okay. Okay. Creative Projects Group, Trasby? Crazy. Our next door prize is going to be a gift bag donated by Charlene Fong, and you don't know what's in it until you get it. Mario, and thank you for the wonderful centerpieces donated by Mario at DeKalb Airport.
Performance Food Service.
Performance Food Services, Burl.
All right, Burl.
And our next door prize, and we do want to say thank you to the press that came out today. Thank you for everybody that helped put this on. And so, Brian, This is actually a gift certificate for a one-year Chamblee Chamber of Commerce membership. So we're saving the best for last. Draw out a card, please. Verl. You put 2 cards in there?
I don't think so.
Let's give this back.
Okay, go ahead now. If you pull out another card, we're going to talk. I also would like to thank the Chamblee Police Department for helping us with parking today. And if you see them outside, if you'll thank them as well, they've done a great job. The DeKalb County Government, Margaret Britton. Thank you everybody so much, and please fill out your comment cards and leave them on the table if you don't mind.
All right, one more comment by Councilman Bach. Go ahead.
If you did not pick up a bag when you came in today, please do so. The Convention and Visitors Bureau worked very hard. They're spotlighting a different city every month as a marketing piece, and this month is Chamblee. So this is a very interesting piece on Chamblee, the Frosty Caboose, and all the other things to do here in Chamblee. And it is available to you on Jump Drive if you would like to print additional copies to help market the city as a whole. So just contact me or the Convention and Visitors Bureau and we'll get you a Jump Drive. But I wanted to make sure you saw this very nice piece on Chamblee.
Tom. One last comment from Tom.
Just real quickly, in the interest of time, I've got a full recap on this month's Chamblee City Council meeting on my Facebook page, which is Thomas Hogan, Chamblee City Council.
All right, well, thank you again for coming out, and thank you to Mr. May for speaking, and y'all get to your business and go make some money.